What's going on, Niner fam? It is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast. And, well, I guess we're waiting. We're going to be waiting for it's the streak continues. I think that makes what? Is it 5? It could be 5. I can't remember. But Chiefs beat the 49ers 28-18 in a game that really was never close. Even though it looked close at times, it was never close. And we're going to talk about it all. But before we get to any of it, we got to hit the music.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'd like to know,
are you ready for start time?
And once again, it is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing really to be said about it. It's exasperating. I had my guy CJ from Kingdom Cast, shout out to CJ, on yesterday. And we talked about all the things that had to happen for the 49ers to win this game. And they did absolutely none of them. None of them. I said that my 3 keys for that game was, number 1, special teams. Special teams stunk. The number 2 was they had to play a clean game. That's turnovers, that's penalties, that's just playing a clean game. Nope, didn't get that either. They had to win the turnover battle. Nope. Couldn't do that either. So the 49ers will continue to lose games because there is a lack of execution. There's a lack of identity. There's a lack of so many things. And I can't really put my finger on what it is about this team. Complacency. I don't think it's complacency because you haven't won anything. I mean, are you listening to the headlines saying that you're the Avengers? I don't know what it could be. But Ayuk having a perfect pass by Purdy bounce off his hand. Purdy just throwing the ball nowhere near his guys and straight to the other team a couple of times. There was no excuses. Purdy was bad in this game. Did he have his moments? Of course. But the and I can't wait to watch this game over again. But to me, in the moment, the turnovers were egregious. The interceptions were egregious. Every time it felt like the 49ers were getting ready to get back into the game, bang, something happened. And this is the third time, at least three times that I can think of, that I can say that the Chiefs did not beat the 49ers. The 49ers continue to beat themselves. And you could say that, oh, well, they've got Mahomes. Mahomes played like garbage. He made some plays when he needed to, but Mahomes was not good. He had two interceptions of his own. He tried to give it to the 49ers. He tried to. The 49ers could not capitalize. And winning teams, good teams, take advantage when the other team gives you opportunities. 49ers fail to do that. They failed to do it all season long. So this is where we are right now. And the reality is the 49ers record, the 49ers are what their record says they are. They are a middling football team that is just not good. You can blame it on injuries. You can blame it on a lot of things. But the reality is they are a middling football team that doesn't that doesn't have an identity, that doesn't have, there is no, there's nothing that I see on the horizon that could get them back right. Now they might turn it around, and people are gonna, I'm sure people are gonna cook me and say that if they turn it around and oh, he gave up on the team. That's not what I'm saying. Right now, as we speak, the 49ers are lost. They're lost. You can't tell me they know where to go from here. So it is what it is, and people would also say, well, why would you get upset about this game? I think what upsets me, because I mean they lost to the Super Bowl champs. I think what upsets me so much in this game is that the Chiefs are at their weakest. They're hurt just like the 49ers are. They barely have any wide receivers for Patrick Mahomes to throw to. They're running 4 tight end sets because they have no receivers. And they still beat y'all. Not because their offense was this, that, and the third, and that they did all these things to you. No, it's because your offense gave the ball to them, and every time it looked like you were about to make a drive, bang. Nope. We gonna give it right back to you. Every time it looked like the 49ers could start to show some, they were on pace. They were doing things that it should. The defense gave them every opportunity today. The defense gave them the opportunities today. The offense did not take advantage. People can sit there, if you blame it on this game on the defense, then you did not watch. That I feel bad for this defense, because I felt like for the most part they played well. Now down the stretch, things were falling apart. The wheels fell off after a while. You cannot blame the defense for not. This defense is not the defense of 3-4 years ago where they could hold teams to 2 points. That we know that they're not. So that means that the offense had to come up big. They have to be the leader. We have our quarterback. We have the players to get these things done. No, Debo goes down. Then Ayuk goes down. Now, where are the Avengers? There is no Avengers. But even then, your guys you've still got guys open, and we're throwing the ball to the other team. Now, we could say it's a timing thing. Okay, well, if it's a timing thing, then once again that still falls on the players, but it falls on the coaching staff as well, because you were not prepared. It looked bad because like I said, the Chiefs have no one. They're the one guy that they had. Juju goes down early on in the game. They don't even have running backs. So there's really no excuse for it. I'll be honest with you. I think that's why I'm so heated about this game. I'm going to say what's up to the chat because I need a positive. What's going on, my guy Rod? Appreciate you coming through, fam. And horrible game all the way around. Now, I'm not blaming this on the defense. I'm not going to do it. People are going to say that they didn't play well because of some of the statistics. I really feel like they did. They played good enough to win this game. I think that the Chiefs should not have had 28 points, first off. And it was more because the 49ers were giving them the ball than it was that the Chiefs, and they were making mistakes to keep drives going. They did. So I guess you could put that on the defense a little bit. The defense was making mistakes too. But at the same time, the weight falls way more on the offense's shoulders than it does on the defense. But if we're sitting there, I mean, that's how bad the offense played today, is that I'm willing to overlook some of the mistakes that the defense made because the offense was that bad. And people might give Purdy excuses for not having his guys in there. I don't give him excuses for it. Sorry, you don't get that anymore. Nobody's giving Mahomes any excuses for. I mean, he didn't even play well. I mean, let's look at the stats. He went 16 of 27 for 154 yards and 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, 2 sacks. He took 2 sacks, but for a 44 QB rating. So now, where it did help out was the running game. They pulled out the entire kitchen sink for this running game. They were getting runs from McCole Hardman. They were getting runs from Carson Steele. They were getting runs from Samaje Perine. Kareem Hunt had 22 carries. Patrick Mahomes had 5 carries for 39 yards and made a key run where just nobody wanted to tackle it. And Xavier Worthy had one, but it just was not good. It was not good all the way around. I don't um what's going on to Jesus, and absolutely they're not Super Bowl worthy. I would say I would say that they're a work in progress. I think that I saw a lot of good things out of the defense today. I don't think that the defense actually played it bad. I just told you Patrick Mahomes' stats. Now, granted, he has no weapons, is nothing. I mean, I guess you could say he has Xavier Worthy, but he has nothing. The cupboard is bare as well. But when Purdy goes, like I just told you the stats for Patrick Mahomes, but when Purdy goes 17 for 31 for 212 yards and 3 interceptions, no touchdowns, he took a sack. He's got a 36.7 rating. It just negates how well the defense played against Patrick Mahomes in the passing game. And that's how that works. But so I don't completely blame it on the defense. I'm not going to do that. I think the offense played like garbage. I think that Shanny has to go back to the drawing board. I think he has to figure out what the identity of this team is, and he has to go. If you're a running team and you do go with what works. We know what works. Run the ball, and go off a play action. That's what works. Stop trying to make this a throwing team. They are not. They are not. Your scheme, and I'm speaking directly to Shanahan when I say this, your scheme is not good enough in passing down in a straight drop back game. It's not. It's not. I don't know if it's that you don't have the players for it. I don't know if it's the fact that you just don't know how to do it properly because you've always depended on play action. I don't know what the reasoning is. That's for you to figure out. You getting the one getting paid to get this done. But I will say this. I will say this. In every game that I'm watching this team not figure it out, and watching this team go through adversity after adversity after adversity and just not be able to come out the other side, it's getting harder and harder to give excuses for Shanny. Like that's where I'm at with it. I'm not saying that they should fire him currently, but I know that we're going to see a lot of that this week. But I'm not opposed. I will say that I'm not opposed to it, to the thought process, because I think they need to start looking for alternative game plans for what they're going to do in post Shanahan era, because it's gotten to the point now. It's gotten to the point now to where there is really, you cannot look at this product that we're putting out on the field, and there's only so many people you can blame. If you want to blame the players, okay, that falls on the coach too. So, uh, Rod said zero identity. Jesus says special teams continue major problems. Like, I mean, special team. You know what? Special teams. You know you're bad. You know you're bad at special teams. And I don't care what they have to do to fix special teams. I know that there's going to be video. Shout out to John Chapman, but I know that he's going to run some video and show that how badly this special teams unit played again, and it's going to be inexcusable. I don't know how much they practice it, but it's just sad at this point. It's just sad and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to throw these guys out there every week. You know it's a problem and you just don't fix it. It's like they just don't even look at the tape and they just don't even try to fix the special teams. It's special teams is absolutely a part of the game, but it is not something that should affect you as much as it affects the 49ers. And that it's just wild. It's wild to me. But and they said this is why Ayuk, and let's talk about Ayuk. They said that they already said that he fears it's going to be a torn ACL per Shanahan, and I mean here we are. Now we've got a $30 million wide receiver with a torn ACL, and not only do we not use him like a $30 million wide receiver, but now we've got one that might be a step slower. I don't know. I don't know how that eventually is gonna work, but he's probably not gonna be back until hopefully he's back by the beginning of next season. Hopefully. But I wouldn't count on it. And so now you lose your X. The guy that you could just stick over there at the X and just expect him to beat whoever was in front of him. Now you lose that. That is no longer on the table. You didn't want to treat him like a number one and move him around the formation and all that stuff like you do with Debo, like you do with Jawan Jennings, like you do with Kittle. You don't want to do that with him. So now you don't have that. You don't have that luxury. So let's see now what Shanahan is gonna the genius is going to scheme open. It's gonna be bad. I'm willing to bet it's gonna be bad. And I might be wrong. I hope I am. I hope every person in here that's watching the show right now gets a chance to come in here and say you're like you don't watch football. I hope so. But I think I've watched enough football to know that this is bad. We are in a bad spot now. We have a losing record. We are 4-3. The 49ers are 4-3, and they've lost now. Now we're in 2020 status, to where there's just not enough bodies. And yeah, it just is what it is. Does Trent? I mean that situation. Does Trent get suspended? That situation, the frustration, man. When you know you can't beat a team and they're just picking at you because they just want they like because they can. And here it comes. And here it comes. Now you want to fight back. Now you want to let it get chippy and show your frustration out that way. It's too late. It's too late. It's just imploding upon itself. We've been talking about the culture of this team for so long because it was so good. And they've always said the right thing. Well, let's see where that culture is right now, because the culture has been based on winning. When you're winning, everybody says the right things. Everybody is on the same page. But when you're not, and they should have won this game today. No matter what the score says, they should have won this game. They had a chance to win this game today. They just didn't. They didn't get the job done. They played like garbage. They didn't come to play. Much like the Super Bowl. Anybody that blames one person or one thing on the Super Bowl did not watch the game. It was all facets of the game in that one too. You could point to defensive plays, you could point to a bunch of offensive plays, you could point to special teams and coaching as the reason why they lost the Super Bowl. And the same thing with this game. It's going to continue. It's going to continue because I've said it over and over and over and over and over again till I'm blue in the face that the reality about Shanny's system is that there is a ceiling. And people know when you go up against those better teams, it shows. Every single time it shows. When it shows up against the Chiefs, it shows up against the Browns. It shows up. It basically shows up against every AFC team. But I mean, it didn't show up against the Jets, but it shows up against the Bills. When was the last time they beat the Bills? When was the last time they beat the Baltimore Ravens? When was the last time they beat the Chiefs? Those good teams with good defenses. When you have a ceiling on your offense and there's nothing, and you don't go outside of it, and you can't make adjustments, I mean, they're just licking their chops. So they're going to say Kansas City said all the right things all week long, talking about how much they respect the 49ers and like all this other stuff. Teams say that stuff all the time, but the reality is I don't think that they do. I don't think that Kansas City respects the 49ers. I don't think they respect Shanahan as a coach. I don't think Spagnuolo respects Shanahan as a coach. You saw the one assistant coach last season during the Super Bowl talk about how much they didn't respect. He was real disrespectful in what they were doing. And the 49ers can't do anything to get that respect back. They cannot do anything because the reality is you have to win to do that. You have to impose your will. You have to go out there and take that respect. And the 49ers just can't prove. They're no longer a physical football team. They're no longer bullies. They're no longer anything. They're just a middling football team that's 3-4, and it has an uphill battle to even make the playoffs, or to finish a game in with anybody healthy. So it is what it is. But I don't know if Trent gets suspended. Honestly, doesn't matter. I mean, the way this team is playing, and honestly, the way Trent has been playing all season, doesn't matter. They can't get it together, guys. Like they're let's just call a spade. And when you look at this team, that counts, that puts everything in a coach, that puts everything, makes everything about execution. They don't have that, like they can't execute. How can you talk about execution so much and you're not polished? You're not polished. When you have an offense that just relies on trickery and eye candy and all the other things, and everybody has to be in the perfect spot at the perfect time, and they have to be hit their landmarks right at the right time. When everything is timing based, if anything is off, it looks terrible. And you've shown you're incapable of winning any other way. So they're gonna have to show us, the fans, that they can win any other way, because they're not making adjustments. They're not making adjustments. I am positive when we watch this video back on the All 22 that there was a lot of bad football on that tape. And you can sit there I hope my fans out there are not making excuses. The 49ers have to take accountability. And we're going to hear from Shanny in a little bit. I'm sure a lot of people already watched it, but let's look at it together. Let's talk about the things that he says, and I want to get a vibe as to how he felt how he felt about this game, because this was a gut punch. Uh, I think a lot of 49er fans, at least the guys that really are into the team, we knew going into this game that the odds were stacked up against, even with all the injuries on the Chiefs. It's still the odds were against. But yeah, it's brutal. It was brutal. And yeah, if you look at the stats, it's just it's just silly. It's just silly. So now, I mean, Ricky Pearsall had 3 catches, 21 yards. Was that the feel good story? I mean, I'm happy for the kid that he got to play. I wish we could have got a win to get him on track. I mean, it, it's it's pretty brutal. It is pretty brutal. And I felt like they had more than 2 sacks. I felt like they had at least 3. But that was all in the first quarter. I want to say that then we didn't touch him again for the rest of the game. Um, yeah, shout out to Demo. Shout out to Kalia Davis for getting their interceptions. Uh, Garendo had a 35-yard kick return. But yeah, it was pretty brutal. It was a pretty brutal loss. And so I want to play what Shanny had to say, and we're going to listen to some of the players. But yeah, somebody take this mic. It's Steve-O. Absolutely not. This is not the answer. I will tell you, this is not the answer. More weapons is not the answer, because Mike Williams just going to be stuck in the Shanahan offense, not knowing how to run it, not having the timing down, and we're going to blame it on execute. And Shanahan's just going to blame it on execution. Like, that is not the answer at this point. They just need to get. They have to get. Shanahan has to look in the mirror and say, "My scheme is not working. It's not working." Every great offense, every great offense, every scheme eventually gets figured out. Everyone. I mean, and people call Andy Reid this an offensive genius, but the offense ain't doing hot this season. And granted, they have a lot of injuries as well, but they're making enough plays to get victories because their defense is stellar. Their defense is nice, and the it's almost like it's the anti Shanahan. He makes where Shanahan gets used to a lot of empty stats and a lot of empty yards and and points like that in that vein. Andy Reid just makes plays and gets the win. And I don't want to make it seem like eventually he figured that out. Eventually he ended up with Patrick Mahomes, which makes a big deal. Which makes a big deal when you have the only generational quarterback in the NFL. And I feel that's what Patrick Mahomes is. But we have got to, yeah, another wide receiver, bringing another wide receiver in here, like, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter because they could roll anybody out there. They're going to run the same offense, and teams are going to key on the same stuff. The bottom line is this: I feel like that teams have figured out Shanny's offense. I don't think it's up for debate anymore. We have gone away from our physical style of we don't even have the players to do it anymore. You wouldn't even recognize it. Used to be Shanahan liked offensive linemen that could just run block because he didn't really care about the whole pass blocking thing. Now He gets guys to pass block because they want to transition. But he's not good at drop back passing game and calling up plays for that. He's not. And it's okay to say it. It's okay to say it. The proof is right there in front of your face. You can blame the players all you want to. I'm not blaming the players. That is a reflection of the coaching. If you roll a team out there and they're not executing, it is not always all the players' fault. It is the coaching and the preparation that is not there, especially when you come out here and tell us that they had a great week of practice and all the other stuff. That it's not a thing. It's not a thing. So let's play Shanahan's. Let's go.
Season, but does it begin to, in your mind, does it accumulate emotionally, taking all these injuries?
Yeah, I mean, it always does for anyone associated with NFL. I know a lot of teams deal with that. Not every team, but we're dealing with it hard right now, and it got worse yesterday, so it's tough. Got worse today.
Real worse.
I mean, obviously Brock's dealing with inexperienced receivers, Ricky Pearsall's first game. I think 3 interceptions. How did you think Brock dealt with all that?
I mean, we didn't do anything really good on offense. You know, I know he'd love to have all 3 of those picks back, so Brock's been playing unbelievable this year. Done some good things in offense this year, but today wasn't that day.
That second interception, was that a miscommunication, or did Brock just miss the throw?
No, he just missed the throw.
Obviously not the result you guys wanted, but kind of excluding the performance just for Ricky Pearsall to make it back onto an NFL field today, what did that mean for you as his coach and for him?
I mean, we kind of celebrated that almost all week with him because it was great to have him back, and he looked great in practice, and he was going to get eased in a little today. It changed a little bit with Debo going out, then it changed a bunch with IU going out, so he had to do more than we expected today, and I was proud of him for handling it. Great to have him back.
Hold on. We're not taking great story for Ricky Pearsall. You didn't get the win. Great story for Ricky Pearsall. I applaud the fact that he came back, and it's great for him that he got to play. But we didn't win the game. And I know that Chaney didn't want to make light of the fact that Pearsall was his first game coming back from getting shot and all this stuff. Great story. I get it. But for what? It's only a great feel-good story when you win the game. When you lose like they did, today, that all that stuff means nothing. Like there are nobody's gonna say, oh well, like they lost. They're 3-4, but Ricky Pearsall got to start. So I mean, it's like, and I'm not trying to make light of the situation. I love the fact that Ricky Pearsall got to play, but the fact that is even asked as a question is honestly. I don't know how Shanahan kept his composure. I would have been so upset by even the question. But that's why I'm not a coach.
Have him back.
Did you get the sickness this morning? Did he just
Yeah, this morning. Yeah.
All right, but he just vomiting.
Throat, stomach things, just real fatigued, struggled to breathe, couldn't catch his breath, and so he kept trying to fight through it, but once he was struggling with the breathing and everything, that we had to shut him down.
You seem to struggle to beat man-to-man coverage in this game. Are there things you can do as a play caller, play designer to help scheme people open against those particular looks?
Yeah, that's all we tried to do. Thought a couple guys did pretty good on man. Thought we got a good curl pump. Their Jake at the end. I thought BA had a real good one that we just didn't go to. Had one of the picks on it. Ronnie did on the other pick. So there was definitely times guys beat man, and sometimes they didn't.
Looking at the defensive performance, Kyle, what did you see in terms of how Mahomes was able to torment them again?
I thought the defense today, compared to everything else, gave us a chance. I thought they settled them down, but 4 or 5 in the red zone was the biggest thing. They scored pretty much every time they got down there. Mahomes, just keeping plays alive with his legs. That 30-so scramble that he did, and then extending it by the sidelines, which we see over and over, and everyone thinks they're ready for it, but then he gets another team again with it. So hats off to him. He's an unbelievable player. But we didn't play good as a team today.
Tough loss, and you have one more game before the bye week. What was the message that you delivered to the team? What do you want them to take away from today?
I want them to say less today. There's no way to sugarcoat that. We got our ass kicked today. Lots of reasons for it, but those are things that they don't need to sit and think about today. We'll address all those tomorrow. We'll get together. We'll go through the truth of the whole tape and be hard on each other and find a way to put it to bed so we can come out here and make sure we put our best foot forward and find a way to get a win versus Dallas.
Say less. In other words, shut the boombox down. In other words, I don't want to see guys on podcasts and now all of a sudden you're sick before the game. Not saying that people can't get sick, but the podcast stuff, all the interviews, we're on K Adams show, all these things we're doing, and it has nothing to do with football. I think there's too much noise. There's too much noise on this team for a 3-4 squad. You're 3-4. All those opportunities are gonna go away if y'all don't right this ship. You'll just be has-beens, and you'll be broken up, and and you guys can do that stuff on somebody else's team. Does anybody talk about Eric Armstead now that he's on the Jags and they're struggling? No, nobody's talking about him. Except for 49er fans. Let me do it. Oh.
Following up on Tim's question, how much can you expect Brock to elevate himself given the circumstances?
On whose question?
Tim's question is about Brock.
Oh.
He played given what was happening with the rest of
Yeah, Brock elevates himself a lot. Regardless of whether guys are down or up. Brock's been doing that every game. He had some good plays today, but just overall, him along with all of us on offense, we didn't do well. When you do miss your best players or some of them and they go out with injuries, it makes it harder on everyone. And you hope that you can overcome that with some stuff with some of our other guys like Brock, who is very capable of doing that, but just wasn't his best day.
Is there continued frustration with special teams and what can be done to kind of clean some of the stuff up?
I can't hear you.
Is there continued frustration with
You heard
special
her.
teams and what can be done to clean some of the stuff up?
We're going to keep coaching them. We're going to keep putting pressure on us as coaches, pressure on the players. As you do get guys down, you can't just try the next guy, so some of these guys are getting their opportunities because of injuries, and we got to make sure that we get better at this. There's certain things that we have gotten better at, but that big punt return, mainly the one that stuck out to me, they're getting too much, and we just got to continue to work at it and not ignore it, which we're not.
You can't tell me this has been since the beginning of the season. You didn't have all those injuries at the beginning of the season. You had your injuries, but it wasn't like it is now. So to act like injuries are the reason why your special teams is bad, your special teams has been bad for years, Kyle. There's been a problem on special teams for years. It's part of the reason why you lost the Super Bowl last year. Accountability. Once again, it comes back to accountability. I don't expect him to throw his coach under the bus. I don't expect that. But accountability, hey, it looks pretty bad out there. We just got to be better. We got to be better. And we're gonna have to work on some of that stuff. It's the way you word it. it just feels sometimes like it's so disingenuous when he says certain things, and sometimes it feels like he's just lying to our face. He's not going to do nothing about it. He's not going to do nothing about it. Mark my words. Yeah, this special team is going to continue to suck.
I'm really hoping to get him back this week.
I bet you are.
Some screenplays. Why do you think you struggled defending those plays, given that you've seen them before?
Yeah, you see screens every week. That's what everybody does. Hits a couple screens in the game. They got past our D-line, sucked us up on that. I think they got us in a couple zone coverages where guys were out of there, and you need one guy to make the tackle, and that guy misses, and it opens it up. But they hit some good screens. It's what they do best, one of the best things they do, and they got us on them.
Is there any reason to believe Brandon doesn't have a torn ACL?
I mean, that's what it looks like, but we don't know for sure. Just doing the tests and everything with our hands and with the trainers and stuff, all that. So that's what we fear. That's what it looks like, but we've been wrong before, so praying that we are.
You know, past games don't mean much for this game, but what they were doing defensively, was it similar to some things you saw in the Super Bowl, or was Spagnuolo doing even other things?
No, it's what they do in the Super Bowl. It's what they did the 19 games before that. You know, it's what they've done all the games this year. So they got a good scheme. They mix up a lot of two-read coverage, a lot of quarters pressure, a lot of man coverage, and a lot of man pressure. So they kind of roll those throughout the game, and they're good at all of them.
Kyle, there was a lot of emotion going into this game, and yeah, everyone can say it's just another game. It's not going to make up for the Super Bowl, but clearly it was important. What do you do now to kind of be able to put this behind you?
That's why I try not to make it about that stuff. You know, I mean, obviously, when you got to, you know, we all know how much last year hurt. So, you know, when you're studying that tape all week and stuff, it does bring up emotions and everything. And, yeah, you would love to beat someone, but if we beat them today, that wasn't going to change anything with the Super Bowl either. You know, we would love to do it. You know, we haven't been able to beat them, so that's something that would feel really good. But I'm not going to make that more than it is. So we try not to make it more than it is all week, whether we won or lost. We knew we were going to come in Monday and review it and know we were going to have a big game versus Dallas this week.
Okay. Maybe you should have made it more. Like, maybe you should have made a bigger deal about it. Like, the talk about that we're not like a deal than what it is, and like all this, that's just coach speak. But the reality is this: maybe you should have. These players need to understand the sense of urgency at this point. I don't see a sense of urgency. I see people looking like a deer in the headlights look out there, that they can't believe that they're losing some of these games. But it keeps happening. And if you're giving me answers like this, I hope you don't believe what you just told us. Because if that's really how you think about that matchup, then you're not paying attention to the psyches of your players and of your team. Because psyche is everything in football. Like, that's why I made such a huge deal about the culture of this squad and the former identity of this team being a tougher identity and a physical identity, punching teams in the mouth until they just give in. Because teams don't like to get punched in the mouth. So if you keep doing it over and over and over again, wearing them down and just taking away, it's that is everything. Like when a team can go into that locker room and know this is our identity. We took their soul today. It doesn't matter if it was a blowout or if it was a close win. They know that they took that team's soul today. They saw the looks on that other team's faces. And it's huge. It's huge. But I feel like we've lost our way into what makes this team great. And I think they've got to say that I don't like what I'm hearing. It's easy to say that when you're losing. But I'm at a point to where they have to prove it. Like none of the coach speak matters to me. It's all about proving to that you found your identity, proving that you figured it out, and that you're willing to adjust. That's the key. You got to be willing to adjust. And I don't feel like Kyle is willing to adjust. I feel like he just keeps running the same stuff out here every single week and expecting a different result and expecting them just to execute better when in actuality, maybe it's your scheme. But
this week before the bye week, and our goal is to be leading our division after this bye week. I didn't even watch what happened today. I think Seattle won, but we got to keep it close here and find a way to get a win next week.
This is hypothetical, but if Brandon does have an ACL, could you see being aggressive on the trade market for a wide receiver?
I don't know. I mean, depends what's available, depends the risk and reward with everything. I mean, we look into everything in every situation, but got to balance all that out. All right, thanks, guys.
all right. So, needless to say, I'm not encouraged by Shanahan's press conference. I didn't hear anything about taking accountability for what happened out there. Oop. Yeah, I just didn't hear anything to take accountability for any of it. Let me see anybody. And here come the Chief fans. Purdy, a system quarterback. Can we argue with him? We can't. All right, we can't argue with any of it. Overrated coach. I can't argue with any of it right now. It is. We are what our record says we are. And then my guy McNiner in the house. Appreciate you coming through, fam. Our offense played like absolute. Kyle ain't it. Like it's gotten to that point to where the fans and like even stalwart Kyle apologists at this point are willing to broach the subject now. And I thought that this was going to be a key season for Kyle to show that he could grow. And he had to show growth. I've said it all off season. He had to show growth. And Purdy had to show growth. And I feel like right now he's holding Purdy back. And that might sound weird after Purdy just having 3 interception game, but I think that the reason why he had 3 interceptions is because I feel like Shanny's kind of holding him back at this point. With his scheme, I feel like there's a huge ceiling on his scheme, and I think that it's actually holding Purdy back. I'm willing to say it. I'm going to rewatch the game, but that's the vibe that I get when I watch this team. But let's hear from Purdy.
If you evaluate your performance tonight, and what do you think of what happened on the second interception from Ronnie?
Yeah, I think I got to play better for sure. Just with my throws, some decisions, and that's pretty simple. I obviously got to watch the film and stuff, but my instant reaction is got to play better. The second interception was on me again. Ronnie did his job. I thought he just got hemmed up. I didn't know where he was going to come out on his route, so I just tried putting it on him, and then he ended up breaking out pretty good. And so Ronnie did his job. It was on me.
Shanahan was talking to you at your locker just now for about 4 or 5 minutes. Can you tell us what the nature of that conversation was?
I mean, we're just talking about some stuff throughout the game and just some moments throughout it and stuff, and how we can get better and going forward and stuff. So it was really just that. So.
The start of the game was so tough. The first quarter, were they doing different things to you guys? Why was the opening so hard?
I mean, obviously it's tough to get the ball rolling when we're not getting first downs and things like that. So it starts with that. I think we got to convert on third downs and find a way, especially when our defense is doing a great job getting stops and getting us the ball back. So it's on us, man, to move the chains, and we just failed. Obviously, Kansas City is a great defense and everything, but we're a great offense in our eyes, and we know that we can play at a really high level, and so that's on us to get the ball rolling. So not really sure. Still got to watch the film and see what happened.
Talk about the impact of losing Brandon and then the impact of getting Ricky.
Yeah, I mean, man, obviously just what BA does for our offense and who he is and as a teammate and a brother of ours, man, it's sad. So wishing him nothing but the best and praying for him. So that's my guy. And when he goes down like that, obviously we have other guys that can step up and do their job really well. Ricky, having him back for his first game, man, was awesome. Just seeing him back out there and making cuts and plays. He's a baller too, so we're really excited for him and for his growth and to bring him with us, man. So we're excited about that. You know, thinking about BA and wishing him nothing but the best too. So we all just got to come together as a group, man, collectively. At the receiver unit and all of us, and guys just got to step up, and they have. And so that's the nature of the sport, sadly. So.
Are you feeling greater I know quarterback's only supposed to do his job, but do you start naturally to feel more responsibility when some of the bigger names are out of the offense?
Can you say it again? Sorry.
You kind of feel the responsibility when you don't have Christian, Brandon, and Debo in the middle, in the game, that you've got to do a little bit more?
I mean, I don't really think that. All I think about is, what my job is, going through my reads, trusting in Kyle's play call, and hitting the open guy. I think there was many opportunities tonight or in this game where I could have been better. And so that's just how I feel. Is there more pressure for me to put on a Superman cape and do more? No. I think who we have and the players that we have that step up in those positions, man, they've done a great job, and we have a lot of talent in my eyes. So that's on me, and we'll just all continue to grow and fight on this journey together.
Do you feel like your confidence was shaken at all during that game, or did you feel you were going to come out of it any minute?
No, yeah, I think I was just trying to get into a groove and get a couple first downs, get some completions. As a quarterback, seeing those kinds of things are huge, and so I think their defense did a good job. But like I said, at the same time, I think there's some moments and times where I have to make the throws, I have to get the first downs moving and rolling. But gotta watch the film, see what happened, and we'll go from there. So, thanks, guys.
So, typical Purdy interview. Always takes accountability. It's always him. And he always is going to say, it's not on this guys, it's on him. Wish Kyle would do it more often as well. I think Kyle could learn some things from Purdy and the way that he puts together a presser. But, I mean, Purdy's right at the end of the day. A lot of those things were on him. And it really put his defense in a bind because, once again, this defense is not as good. They're missing players, first of all, and second of all, they're just not as good as they were 2 or 3 years ago. So they can't be put in those positions over and over again like that. Those older squads used to be, and so yeah, they've got to figure it out. And I mean, kudos to him for bigging up his receiver and saying, that is absolutely not on him. That's on me. But let me see who the next person is to talk. Oh, they got Ricky Pearsall. So we got to hear from Ricky. I guess it's going to come. There he is.
Played a whole career in college football and just one NFL game so far. What is the difference between trying to beat man coverage in the SEC versus what you saw today?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a difference. Obviously, the NFL is just the best of the best, so there's that difference. But I still think it's similar techniques to beat a DB at the end of the day, and I got to stick to those techniques and keep working on it and keep getting better at it.
What did it mean to you to get out to the football field today, given what happened to you?
Yeah, it meant everything. Obviously, all the adversity I just went through these past month, it was really good to go out there with my guys again. I think that's the refresher for me at the end of the day. When the incident first happened, the first thing I was thinking about was, the guys in this locker room, the coaches in the locker room, and the entire staff. And, they did a really good job of rallying around me, making sure, I stayed up. And it was a huge blessing for me today, yeah.
When it happened to you, did you realize that you would be able to play football again?
They told me in the hospital when I was still asking that question over and over again. So that was a common question coming out of my mouth when I was in the hospital bed. But they ended up telling me after they seen the X-rays and the CAT scans of the direction of the bullet path, and then as well as there was some nerve stuff that I had to make sure I was good on. So that's why I had to stay overnight. But after that next morning is when the doctor came in and told me I would be good to play football again. That was my first question. So.
What's the biggest hurdle that you had to clear, 2 months ago through that process to get back on the field today?
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest hurdle for me was just recovery from, the wound. There was obviously a lot of scar tissue buildup in the area. And since it was in my chest, all in like under my armpit, and obviously it was through and through. So there was a buildup all the way from, my chest to my back. So just working through that. Making sure I'm getting that all worked on and getting that scar tissue out. And once I started feeling better range of motion and pain tolerance wise, and that's when, I was headed to the right direction to practice and train.
Was there an emotional hurdle as well?
Yeah, I think there was slightly. Obviously for the first few days after that, it was pretty brutal. But I got a lot of good people around me. I got a lot of good family members, strong foundation, a lot of good people in this locker room, a part of this staff. And this organization did a great job, like I said earlier, rallying around me, but just putting resources in my direction to use. And I think that helped me get through that a lot. Mm-hmm.
You say, you didn't know for sure until the next morning about your football career. I'm sure part of you was like, you're alive. But was that a tough night of sleep for you, still not knowing?
Yeah, for sure. That was obviously my first thoughts through the whole incident was, if I was going to be alive or not, and that was the first thing I was thinking of, and making sure, that I got in contact with my family members. But once I knew I was going to be okay, and I was going to be able to live, the next question came, was I going to be able to play football now? And as soon as I got that answer, a light just grew inside of me, and I was super excited to hear that from the doctor. So.
Now that you'll be able to play football, and then you've been told that maybe you'll be able to make your debut in week 4, then that comes 5 and 6, and then you get to week 7 and you make your debut against the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs. What were you kind of thinking about going into this outside of the loss? How did that kind of, build up your motivation or excitement to get out there and play?
Yeah, there was a tremendous motivation for me, after that incident. Obviously when you go through some adversity like that, it only makes you stronger at the end of the day. So, just having that along me, and then obviously having that presence of, God with me through those moments. There was a lot of, signs that he was giving to me throughout that time, and that's a whole separate story. But there was a lot of excitement leading up to those weeks. Obviously, I didn't play week 4, and that was something I really wanted to do just because that was the minimum of coming back. And I just knew I wasn't ready leading up to that week after some of the workouts. I just still felt a lot of that scar tissue build up in there, and a lot of pain and, range of motion, obviously. The pain was probably like the last on the ladder for it. But as far as like range of motion, because I kind of need that being a receiver. So after that was all clear, that's when we started looking towards this week. And, I just felt like it was scripted, for me, just going into a week like this, playing a really good team like this, and, having the opportunity to step on that field again.
What's going on with Brandon right now, but with the very real possibility that he's out, how much urgency do you feel to really kind of pick up the pace and get going now with an opportunity like that?
Yeah, right now I'm not feeling like much urgency, as you would say. It's more of, just making sure that I reach out to my guy. That's still my brother at the end of the day. For me, it's much bigger than football. He's going through something right now, and I'm making sure, I show that my love for him and sending prayers his way and checking on that guy because, he's a really good buddy of mine. So, but, in this game, he went down, and I had to, play more than expected, than really everybody expected. But, I just try to make the most of my opportunities.
Football your whole life. Was there a point today where, when you got out there, was it different, and when did it start to feel natural today?
Yeah, it felt different just because, all the build up around it, just from, training camp, missing most of that. And then, obviously going through this entire incident. I just felt like there was a different build up towards that than I was used to. I never missed a game in college, in my entire college career. So I never really had that. Sitting on the sideline and watching the games was a little different for me. So, it felt a little different, but, once I got on the field, I put my helmet on, my cleats on, I was running around with the guys, and, just like, this is like still football at the end of the day, and that's kind of when I felt natural. And then, especially after my first catch, I made sure I had to secure that, and then after that, everything went away. So.
Shanahan said, like, in the hospital, there was lunch. He said in the hospital, they're like, I'd like to play in week 1. Explain what your mindset was at that time.
Yeah, that was that was after they looked at the X-rays and they let people start coming into the room. And John was one of the first people to come there, and I was super happy to see him. That's probably when I broke down in tears when I saw him, just because it hit a little different, knowing that I wasn't gonna be able to play, week 1, and I was super excited. Obviously, I was missing a lot of training camp too, so I was really looking forward to the opportunity. I was super excited, and just the way it went down, it made me a little bit emotional. But seeing him there, that's when it all hit. But yeah.
Has this whole thing had an impact on your perspective, how you view your career and your life? I mean, it's a pretty emotional thing. Has it changed your perspective?
Yeah, I feel like I've always had a pretty good perspective, just due to being raised the right way, and having a good foundation. I have a good family with my parents, my sisters. Those people being around me. I just learned those morals and values. Growing up. But as far as this incident, yeah, it definitely shook me in a different way. That every day is not promised. You know what I mean? And you just gotta expand on everything you can.
Physically, just how do you feel playing your first football game with all that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, physically I feel great. I feel like I could play another game right now.
Ricky, Levi Stadium got really loud after you make that first completion. How much of that moment did you get to take in?
Yeah, obviously I'm in the moment. I'm trying to, we're trying to get some first downs, and move the ball and go score and put some points up. So, but then after that catch, and my teammates were dabbing me up and saying that they're happy for me and they're proud of me, and then that's kind of when it all hit. Crowd got a little loud right there, and yeah, I just took the opportunity to be appreciative of everything that led up to that and all the blessings that came along with it. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
All right. So there was a couple more players that talked, but honestly, I don't. It's going to be a lot of player speak and coach speak, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, let's just call it for what it is, and the fact that the 49ers are in a rough spot. It's a rough spot now, and Kyle's got to look inward. I don't know that he will. I don't think that he's going to think any of this is his fault. I think he's going to think the answer is hammering on the players to play harder and to count out the distractions, which they should. But I think that that's not the only issue. I think that the scheme is the issue. And people are going to say, well, that scheme got you this and this and this and this. Yeah, it did. It's not anymore. It's not anymore. And you can say that it's execution. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If they're not executing, if the players aren't executing the way that they're supposed to be playing, then bench them. Get some players that will execute the scheme the way you want it executed. But you've got to do something. You've got to do something. You cannot continue to roll out there and say, "Oh, we just played terrible. Just played terrible. We're gonna have to work on that." And just week after week, just keep rolling out the same stuff. Like you've got to adjust. And in the past, I feel like we've seen Shanny adjust, so I know he's capable. But it's almost like he just refuses to go backwards. and refuses to adjust to what really needs to be done for this team. And I don't really have an answer, but it's going to be interesting this next game against, I believe we played Dallas. And is it in Dallas? Is it in Dallas? No, it's in San Francisco again, and then they get a bye. But or do they get a bye? Yeah, they get a bye after that. So it's got to be they've got to show some growth. They've got to show some growth. But I'm gonna let you guys have the rest of your night back. 49ers lose once again to the Chiefs 28-18. Make sure you give the video a like. Make sure that you give it a subscribe. Make sure that you hit the bell so you get notifications for when I go live. It's a somber day, but believe me, I have nothing but I want this team to be great. And for you guys and for the fans, that's really what I want for. I want us to be able to celebrate. And this is one of those games though that you got to call spade a spade, and they just were not ready to play today. So it is what it is. But we are on YouTube, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we are on Twitch, anywhere where you can get your audio podcast. It doesn't matter. There is no excuse. I don't care where you get it, just get it. And yeah, I will be back Tuesday with Beto and Brandon. And hopefully everybody comes out, takes a look at that show. And then I'll be back again on Thursday evening, and we'll be having our pregame, or not pregame, but we'll be having our show, getting you ready for the Cowboy game. And but I'm gonna get out of here. You guys have a great evening. Have a great week. Make sure you hug your loved ones. Make sure you hug your friends, family, and enjoy your people. But with that being said, I'm gonna get out of here. You guys have a great evening, and as always, doesn't matter if the wheels until the wheels fall off. Go Niners.